Record.
Welcome to FESIG, the free energy special interest group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Hi everyone. Hi, this is Crystal. Welcome to FESIG's 143rd meeting. Today is the 3rd of December. And we have here a very well attended first session. And Tom Di Ferdinando was completing his presentation on the work by Dr. Di Mio with Wilhelm Bright's orgone energy words, and we really appreciate him, and we thank you, Tom. Now, this is our second session, and I would like to share screen so you can see the agenda and our platform, what it is really doing here for you. So we are the Free Energy Special Interest Group, and we are a platform where science meets spirit. Okay, I remember Henrik saying, do a big screen. So I am doing a full screen now, folks, but I have to get near to my laptop so I can actually control the screen. Sorry, folks, because I'm not in the usual format, in a different location. I will do my level best to do a seamless, smooth sharing today, okay? So we are a free energy special interest group, a platform where science meets spirit, where we invite all and sundry to come and join us to learn some of the most brilliant minds in the world, to learn from them so that we can develop and develop what we have come here to do and progress with our divine mission. So I am Crystal Go. I'm the founder of FESIG, and we have here with me our wonderful trooper of a co-chair and moderator, Dr. Fraz Frazzle. I believe Pontus not here today. I think I missed his message that he should be excused today. And Henrik and Jerry and the team, basically. We have Tricia, Mona, Scott, Matty, Fernando Bosa, and the others. And excuse me if I miss out on you, but I think, okay, I'm looking at the attendance now. Yes, I think, yeah. Oh, so, okay, that's it, basically. I'm going to go to the next slide. Well, you can go to our website and you can see our mission statement and what we do. And you're all welcome every first Wednesday of the month when we have our public meetings. And we are known as the Futurist Freedom Seekers Group because we are open to all teachings without judgment. And I must say, some of the speakers get upset because they all come from different schools of thoughts. When we have certain speakers talking from their different schools of thoughts, the others get upset. But I mind you, we do have our disclaimers on our site, and we have no judgment here because we won't leave any stone unturned, as we are really hungry for information and knowledge. We know that knowledge is power. So we take the best and throw the rest, as I've said over and over and over again, okay? Okay, so we had the first speaker, Tom Di Ferdinando, talking about orgone biophysical research. And now we're finished with the first session. We are continuing at this 143rd meeting with the second session with our second speaker, Pattie L. Brassard, who is very popular. There's been a popular demand asking for Pattie to come back, and she was lying low for a couple of years because of health issues and other issues. as you know, people who are on the forefront of awakening humanity, they are having a lot of hurdles to go through. So, and likewise, even Pattie's not spared. As you know, Pattie is Gaia's shaman, Miqmac L, the 99% Mayan descendant, tribal shaman, former U.S. Army sergeant, tech cop insider who brings out of this world mind-blowing important intel. Her experience ranges from U.S. Army, NASA, Bell Labs, Lockheed Martin, and others. Pattie has 3 embodiments here, 1 male, 1 female, and both, and has done 2.4 billion years here. Pattie recruited help from Silver Legion, the Lang, the Procyon, and other good ETs that help clean and destroy the dumps of the evil couple and the Draco stronghold. Pattie is from the Guardian group, which is beyond the Milky Way galaxy. She will be bringing the latest intel and disclosure. And once we have finished with the Q&A, folks, please remember to pen down for our next time we meet in our 144th meeting on the 7th of January. And we are reverting back to the same usual time at 6:30 p.m. GMT UK time and 7:30 European time and 1:30 p.m. EST or 10:30 a.m. PST. So, well, you know, I have to cut short my trip because a lot's happening. Not such a good thing, but well, here you go. And if you want to contact me by recommending some of the most amazing teachers to present here at FESIG, write to me at crystal@truevisionofpeace.com. Go to our website, truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG.html, and do subscribe and pay forward, please, because we need to keep going for you. And it's been out of pocket for me and all our team members to bring this kind of disclosure information and teachings from the brilliant minds to you for 9 years now. Is out of pocket, right? So do subscribe to our channels. Our YouTube channel, our Bitchet channel has some of the best performing videos because it's more controversial. As you know, YouTube may not be too kind. And we have Odyssey channel mirroring YouTube's. And then Facebook, sort of I use it to announce what's happening and what's going on and join our meetings and all that, and join our Telegram group so you can interact with everyone. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to stop sharing screen now and go back. Oops, sorry. And go back to the introduction, a proper introduction to our wonderful, brilliant, out of this world speaker. Pattie L. Brassard, Gaia Shaman, Miqmac Elder. She's a Mayan descendant, of course, 99%. Okay, I read that just now. Pattie's experience ranges
The more
from
important thing is I'm the holder of the Ring of Midas, and when I'm not wearing this pottery, I'm also known as the Enforcer.
I am coming to that, Pattie. I would not miss that out. Pattie is a holder of the Ring of Midas and is from the Guardian group, the Enforcer here, meaning the the Guardian or the caretaker of our galaxy.
My authority.
Yeah. And she's from the Guardian group. If that rings a bell, where Kim Gogin is also working from. The Guardian group is from beyond the Milky Way galaxy. Pattie being on the Council of 12, Pattie, has a vantage point, an off-planet's eye, also from a management level, view on why the Garderners and the Garden group making bad decisions for our planet, as they have no experience. Yeah, as they have no experience in being incarnated here, so you told us, right? And you have been incarnated here since time immemorial, so you know what we need and what we're going through. You understand us thoroughly. So they are not so much concerned of our physical, they meaning to say, are you talking about the Galactic Council? I mean the Federation, the Galactic Federation, right? So they're not much.
They're like me.
Uh-huh.
They're not really concerned with your bodies. They're concerned
Yes.
with your souls, because that's what
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. So our physical well-being is not of their concern compared to our souls. Yeah, you're saying. So Pattie recruited help from the Silver Legion, the Lang, the Procyon, and other good ETs that helped clean and destroy the dumps of the evil cabal and the Draco stronghold. Pattie, is there anything that I've left out that you like to add?
Well, you remember the last show I was on, I said if 3i Atlas becomes the problem, what I would do to them. And what happened? I ended up blowing them up.
Yes.
So
you can take it from there, Pattie. We're all ears.
I said it, and then the next overnight, that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah.
So,
but I must apologize, Pattie, that you were cut short. Okay, I know a lot of people complain why you were being cut short. They want to listen to you. Yeah, because that session was a forum for the three speakers.
yeah.
Carrie Cassidy, Sean Charles Moyen, and Sebastian Martin. And you came in last minute, and I thank you anyway. You know, we are always grateful to you.
Yeah, because Emmy did end up showing up. Who I was supposed to replace, it did end up showing up and talking. So I kinda...
Exactly. You were supposed to replace Sebastian Martin because he had his
daughter,
his partner's daughter had an accident and broke her wrist. So the bone actually really came off, and he showed us the X-ray. So she had to be rushed to the hospital by him. And I said, Pattie, please, could you come in? Probably you could replace him. And you did. And thank you, Pattie. You always so loved by us, and we so appreciate you. Yeah, even though last minute you jump in, and now this is your show, uninterruptedly. It's all yours, Pattie. Take over the microphone.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, with the Atlas thing, there's another one coming in. I'll probably have to deal with that too, but none of their programs are going to be allowed, basically. I understand a lot of people file Carrie Cassidy, and she's still, per orders, with the Cabal's 10-year timeline and all the stuff related to that, including invasions and all that. It's kind of nonsense. They already tried invading 5 times, and we've actually, killed them off, including all the clones they had from out there in Australia. So that's not going to be allowed, period. So the whole thing of invasion and all that, you can just write that right out of your mind permanently, irregardless of what else you hear out there. Not allowed. So the first question that got written is, everybody keeps talking about all the radioactive blasts out in the deserts and things. Bear in mind, the first nuclear bomb blown off on the planet was destruction of the Tower of Babel by the Dracos. That was the first nuclear blast, and it was a huge one. And it was a dirty one. And that's why, like Saddam Hussein was gathering old tech, ET tech, from the desert as the radioactivity went down. That's why he had such a large collection. And also bear in mind, all the stones that were originally on the pyramid, those were, were shields against neutrons, basically, that type of stone. That's why the stones were stolen after the destruction of Tower of Babel. All the radioactive fallout, people stole the stones off the pyramids to build housing with, to shield them from the radioactive fallout. So that's where all those stones went to. But yeah, the Dracos were using nukes back then. They were the first ones to use nukes. There's a lot of other tech out there, like the destruction of Tartaria. There's beam weapons that can be used to cause mud floods and things like that. But bear in mind, even back then, the looking glass equipment was still around, and if you take two of them facing to each other, you can actually create a portal and go through time. And a lot of people, this is starting to come out now, that people, you need to realize, from Tartaria, when they were being, tried to wipe out and taken off world as slaves, they sent their kids forward in time to the 1800s here in train cars. That's where all those children came from. out of nowhere that didn't speak the local, any known language and all that. There's whole videos about that. And some of that tech showed out in the World's Fairs because the kids that came through on those trains helped build the stuff for the World's Fair. And so the stuff on Tartaria was back around for a short time. And right after the World's Fair, they destroyed it again. They wiped it all out. That was all part and parcel of trying to get us back not quite back to the Stone Age, but near enough during the time of enlightenment, which we're in right now, because they don't want us graduating. So they're trying really, really hard and pulling every trick in the book to try and keep your frequencies low and keep you separated. So that's why I'm trying to get everybody to, graduate, please, to 3 and 4D and get out of here. Okay. Any questions on that? And for anybody out there got it? Questions on that?
What?
Different Harrison. Any questions on that, or should I move on to the next question? I guess not. You can type. I'm watching the text chat. If you get questions, you can type them in the text chat, and I can read them from there.
I'm so sorry. You can't hear me for a little while because there was a technical error. I must say, folks, I can't reply you on chat because I have a problem with the setup here. Okay, so please excuse me. Fraz, we are starting the Q&A now because Pattie is different. She's not doing a presentation. She's being prompted by our question. Yeah, Q&A.
Okay, excellent. Okay, not a problem. And let me get my chat up.
Okay, why would everybody want to get out of here? This is not this planet. Actually, we're doing, moving timeline to try and keep people on a planet that's still survivable. In this class, this planet was actually supposed to go to a new class of beings back in September of 2013. So we're way in overtime hours. You were supposed to graduate out of here a long time ago. To a higher level Earth.
So, Pattie, are you answering Judy's question that this is the best planet? Why are we going to get out of here? Yes.
It's not so much to get out of Earth, but to get out of 3D Earth. 3D Earth actually was supposed to be turned over to a brand new classroom of beings. And you were supposed to graduate back in 2013. Earth, 4D Earth for those who needed training to interact with ETs and whatnot and get over the trauma. And the ones who are like me or others can go right to 5D.
Yeah, from Soul Hair. Yeah, she's so knowledgeable, Pattie. You read her question. Are you answering her question now?
Yeah. What about the lowering of your frequency from doing things like smoking? Oh, me? No, I don't count. I'm different than everybody else. I'm, in 3 different manifestations here simultaneously. And I'm not just a Miqmac tribal shaman. I'm Gaia shaman. I've actually gone back and talked to her and changed how humans were built from scratch and all of that. I'm not allowed to leave, so they've tried and killed me a number of times, and I'm back within 20, 30 seconds. Unfortunately, Chris and others actually had the trauma of witnessing that happen before.
Pattie, if I may say, can I interject? You said you're not allowed to leave. You'll be last to leave. You will be like, as the guardian, you'll be like seeing that everyone leaves first, and then you'll be the last one to switch off the lights, turn off the whatever, the air conditioning, whatever, and shut the door behind you. Yeah, so can I just say, please, Pattie, would you look after your health and look after yourself well, if that's the case? Because it's not fair.
And bear in mind, although I smoke, this is tobacco that's grown indoors by tribes. So there's no radioactive content in the soil or from the atmosphere, which is the main reason why after they started playing with nukes, tobacco is a bioaccumulator of radioactive content, and that's when the cancer started from smoking.
Stop
Right to
it.
that, than any. And the U.S. military paid the tobacco industry to take the hit on that.
Mhm. I think there's a question for you, Pattie, from chat that pops up. Now, Zoom has a different feature now. The chats just pops up like that so conveniently for everyone to read, and hopefully it's recorded as well so people will know what answers are being given to what questions. Yeah, Fraz, it's so good. It saves us a lot of work reading it out too. Yeah. Did
Yeah, I
you
was
see
wondering
it
if
on
you
the
wanted me to
screen?
read the question. Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah, Fraz, go on then. The last question.
Everybody wants me to show 3-Eye Atlas. The situation I have now, I don't have the big setup I used to have anymore, nor the bandwidth to do things live feed like that anymore. And I'm down to just using my laptop and my phone at this point.
Oh,
Which
it's
can't
such a
handle
shame
doing all
because
that.
you used to have, you're so on top of everything in those days, right? You started talking at FESIG since like 8 years
I
ago.
can still do
and
it,
yeah.
but not on a live feed at the same time. Not on this
Oh,
laptop, it's not capable of it. And
yeah.
I don't have my big machine.
You used to have those NASA software that you could actually zoom into the planets and you could show
Yeah, I
us
still have that.
what is going on. I suppose that's why Angel's asking you to show where 3-Eye Atlas is at now. But now Pattie doesn't have the software anymore. Sorry.
I still have the software and everything, but this laptop only has 4 gigs of RAM. I mean,
Oh,
it can't do
you,
live feed and do that kind
okay,
of stuff at the same time.
good. So we have a solution here. If folks, you got extra, you want to pay forward, Pattie has please buy me coffee's link. So Christine, would you show the link? But I have the link in our FESIG website anyway. Every time a speaker speaks, I think the only link that I gave is Pattie's buy me coffee link or PayPal
I already
link.
bought a new motherboard. All the really expensive stuff I've already bought, but I need a case to put it in, and I need the video card.
Okay, tell us, Pattie, tell the audience how much exactly
7.
do you need so you can bring good information, good images and visuals to the audience. Tell us how much you need.
Live feed stuff, I need about $400 for a video card and maybe another 125 for a new case to put everything I've already got in. I've already spent out of my own personal pocket almost $2,000 on a new motherboard, CPU, and RAM, 64 gigs of RAM. So I just don't have everything yet to put it all together.
That's wonderful.
And
but
at this point, we are so tight on funds now just to survive. I have no free money to buy anything else. So
I know. First thing first, your health.
Bills
your health.
Because
your
I'm disabled and on Social Security, and that's not
your
much.
health is first priority, Pattie. You need supplementation, you need medication, you need good food.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm a cat rescue site too.
Oh.
I got 2 big, huge 20+ pounder cats living with me. Plus, we've rescued what, seven? Well, 2 have actually gone to rescue, and I'm still feeding 5 more outside. So, the cat food bill is averaging about $160 a month.
But you come first. Fraz, you got cats.
We have questions. Okay, Pattie. I did see the explosion pictures from 3-Eye Atlas, and it was timely. So it's kind of cool. There was some interesting parts that we saw in the line that it doesn't have just one tail; it has 2 tails. One pointing towards the sun, and the other one they say is pointing towards Jupiter. Would you like to elaborate on what's going on there? Oh, really? Go ahead.
The globe out front, that's the main drive to slow it down like when it came in. The other 3 globes off the side, those were the maneuvering thrusters and whatnot. And because the way I blew it up and ended up the whole casing peeled off it and everything else, and all the bodies are gone and all of that, it screwed up the control module. So you've got thrust coming out of all of them.
All right.
So, yeah.
Is there electrical?
It's an electrical issue.
Is it an electrical issue? This is the point I'm trying to get to, which is,
it's got a 0 point energy tap source that now is running without any proper control. So
anyway, what I'm trying to get
You're
to
trying to fix it, but it's going to Jupiter.
So. Yeah, well, the question is Jupiter, and Jupiter is one of the dormant suns, from what I understand, in our galaxy, and it looks like they're trying to set up an electrical connection between our sun and Jupiter. Is there anything to that?
Well, they want to stop at Jupiter to go to Ganymede, which is where the main meeting room is for all the external ET fighting going on. That's like the main meeting room where all the arguments go on. So, yeah, head for Ganymede. But in order to do that, somehow they're going to have to get that craft to go in orbit around Jupiter. So, to stop.
Yeah, well, we've got...
or at least going to, while the thrusters are running. So,
is there...
the warranty?
Go, Scott, your mic is really bad. Go ahead. Talk slowly, Scott.
I was just making a joke. Does that void the warranty?
Yeah, a little bit. Just slightly. There was a bunch of these that were supposed to come in and meet with that other one that we actually used the sun to smack it with the snap and close of the gate opposite. It caused a blast out to tell it, no, we're not allowing that program. There's a number of craft that we're all supposed to meet and, recover souls from different areas. None of them managed to do it. And we were telling them it's not going to happen. So the whole meeting thing here at our sun, because it has a gate in it, all these other ones coming in, none of them have bodies with souls in them, although they do have empty bodies. None of them are going to be allowed to carry that program out. So keep that in mind. The whole invasion thing and all that. No.
Okay.
I'm going to blow them all up.
Yeah. One of the Ascension questions that came in this last couple of weeks was, we have orientation from Earth to our sun. And in the past, there was some literature that was out that we actually had our orientation towards Saturn. Are we going to see a change in orientation again for this planet? Is that part of this Ascension process?
Saturn's the original sun from the system before this one was brought in by Eve. And I mean the Eve of Eden, the planet Eden, which is randomly coming in and out of dimensional quarantine. That's why it keeps showing up, and people are calling it Vulcan and whatnot. It's the original Eden, which is actually tied to Earth via 3 portal gates permanently. That's really the only thing holding our moon in orbit, because it ties through Eden and the moon Selene that's in orbit around Eden. It's tied through because that moon up there is too big to stay in orbit. That's why the tie point is 10 miles into the surface of Earth where the gates are.
All right. Crystal, do you have a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, yes. I actually wanted to know if you could help read out the question for us, because there's a request from the audience that the questions has to be read out. And somebody was saying that the raised hand is disabled. No, it's not disabled. That's why Fraz saw me raise my hand, because I was testing it. It was tested able. Okay. Go on then. Can you read some questions?
Would love to hear about your work in the Astro and what is going on in the advancing of the good versus bad. And that's from Wild Hair.
Well, I mean, even before I moved here and moved Christine here, we kicked out and got rid of all the Black Sun group. That's what I actually called the garden group, the Garderners in to help me do, because I couldn't do it on my own, because there was a lot of stuff outside of Sol system involved with that where I don't have the authority I have here. So I needed help from somebody who did. And now that they're in this equation, they have rules to follow, which don't necessarily go along with my rules. And now I have to, deal with, their rules that they operate under, which don't let me do everything now that I really want to do. So it's more, gets more complicated. I can't just go and do things that I want to do because they say no, because that goes against the rules they operate under. And bear in mind, the Garderners are ones who actually create new systems and new planets and all that as classrooms for, gods and goddesses to take over and bring and make new beings on. So that is their normal role. So
excellent. And
souls, I can't force people to graduate. You know what I mean? I can't just take their bodies away and force them to graduate. Which is at this point is what I would like to do.
What I couldn't understand is you are the guardian and you are ensuring and seeing to it that we all get out safely and you will be last to leave. Why did they put a few levels in between to stop you from doing your work well?
It's all to do with souls and what we're allowed to force happen versus happen naturally. Case in point, the real Trump isn't even on this earth anymore. Well, back 6 years ago, we made 6 new Earths to divvy up the different classes to go where they got to go. Trump, his real wife, Diane, the real one, and kids and whatnot, they are now over on the new 3D level Earth that has to do with all the soul contracts from the Christian group, i.e. the 2,000 years of peace and all of that. Trump's family is originally from a planet that also believed in that sort of thing, which is why he was chosen to lead that mess. But each of these religions gets their own classroom, planet Earth, that they graduate from here to. Most of them are 3D, unfortunately. But we also have a 4D classroom for people to graduate to and learn to interact with ETs and whatnot. And learn the truth about pretty much everything that's been hidden here over the decades. And then there's a finishing 5D Earth that everybody eventually graduates to. 4D Earth, time is flowing the opposite direction, and that's to get everybody to graduate at the same time. That's how that works.
We have 2 questions.
2 questions.
Yeah. One of the questions, I want to get back to what you just alluded on, but I want to hit this one so that we can get it out of the chat groups. What can we eat or do, like meditation, to help us graduate?
Okay. Anything that gets your pH level up, and it's more of a thing of getting connected to your heart chakra, which is where your golden link to your soul outside of streaming time is connected. Anytime you go, waltzing around down here ethically, that's your silver cord, and that's not tied there. So, but I know a lot of people are trying to hang on to this earth and want to learn about the past and all that. That's all well and good, but that's not getting you graduated out of here. In fact, the more you find out about the past, the more you're lowering your frequency when you find out just how bad things were. That's not helping.
So, Pattie,
the other question,
in other words,
go ahead.
Sorry, Fraz. In other words, you're saying that it's not good to have a age regression or like past life regression from a hypnotherapist, a hypnosis session. You're not supposed to know a lot about the past life.
When you get up to 4D, you're going to get smacked with so much negative history, as well as learning how to, in real time, face-to-face, learn to deal with actual, friendly ETs and stuff. It's better it happens there. We're trying to get everybody to graduate out of here. And a lot of people are graduating, and because they've got kids and and responsibilities and stuff here, they're leaving their body behind and letting it run on their hindbrain, which is why accidents and all kinds of things have gone through the roof. Because people
Hang on,
are
Pattie.
graduating and leaving, but they're leaving their body behind running on the hindbrain.
Wait, Fraz,
And-
before you get to Henrik, Henrik's hands up, right?
Okay.
Pattie,
Yeah.
I don't mean to stop you there. I just wanted to prompt you so you could go from there and explain to people clearer. Okay, so you're saying people are graduating. Okay, so in James Ring's case, our beloved physics brother's case,
graduating.
right? He's passing. So he apparently, there's been talk that he was attacked by DEW directed energy weapon because he has to be stopped to do this disclosure thing through the conferences that he's organizing. So did he graduate in that sense of graduation, as you were explaining, or was he forcefully taken?
He had a catastrophic failure of his clone body. And that's eventually going to happen to all the super soldiers. So just bear that in mind. They no longer have a refresh unit anymore. The last one was Mount Weather. And when we retook Mount Weather, they no longer have clone refresh ability at all. The negatives. That's just the way it is.
How many
So
times
no way
are
of
they
refreshing
cloned before they lose everything?
When they move bodies to a clone body, that clone body has a limited lifespan. And they used to just keep bouncing them, into a new clone body. They don't have cloning facilities anymore. They don't have refresh ability to refresh the clones they've got. So they're all failing. And as the frequency goes higher, they fail even more rapidly by design.
We so appreciate
And most of them
you.
go to cancer and everything else because the bodies are falling apart.
That really puts to rest on the heaviness in our hearts of a brilliant person like James dying so young. Yeah,
they're free because when they get reborn at 4D, that body's not going to have chips to wipe memories and all of that stuff, in the brain, because all the super soldiers got those chips. They were put in the body as they were built in the tank.
So, Pattie, does it help if we all unanimously do some prayers for James so he can reintegrate into his original oversoul, higher self, the fragments of his soul?
Well, his soul has always been connected to his full self. And when he reincarnates, gets put into a newborn baby body, over time as that new brain matures, he'll have access to his full memories. I'm sorry, but that's not going to be a pleasant thing. I know, because somebody who had a body down here, that I was able to help reintegrate all of their memories back into them, and it was not a pleasant thing. They were, severely traumatized, learning everything that happened. And it was one of them that my male-only personality worked with in another timeline. So a lot of that came back to hit me in the face, even though it was my male person. That got blamed for a lot of things. So
it is not a good idea for the deeply traumatized super soldiers to seek
to get all the memories back.
A regression to get their memories. Yeah. Not down here. Folks, hear that.
Things can't be done to help them down here at 3D.
Thank you. Okay. So back to you, Fraz. You want to get Henrik's hand?
Yeah, we're going to grab Henrik next, and then we've got a total of 4 questions.
Sure.
Go ahead, Henrik.
Okay, this seems to be very important about graduating. And since I'm one in the audience and we are all still here, I would like to focus more on that. And as I understand it, it's about connecting with my heart and my higher parts. I would like you to really go into that. What can we do because we are still here? And aspects of that, please. Thank you.
It's a really, truly individual thing, connected to your soul. It changes your body's energy entirely. And the hardest thing about trying to do that while you're down here is people are too, firmly grasp on everything going on around them and keeping here. And we want to fix this and we want to fix that. No, stop. A lot of people are leaving their bodies behind, running on the hindbrain because they got kids and stuff that they still feel responsible for, even though usually there's not any real soul connection between a parent and the soul that's in their child. So, but they feel responsible. So they've graduated, left the body they were living in here behind, running on hindbrain. But everything that their soul is connected to the forebrain, and they graduated and left the body behind.
Is there
people try to take their body with them, and because they're no longer three-pole DNA, the energy coursing through them when they try to take their body with them, that's just spontaneous combustion.
Oh, that's how spontaneous combustion happened. I see.
That's why.
Wow.
They're trying to graduate and take the body with them, even though they don't understand they can just do that mentally and, bring into existence their body at 4D and 5D. They're trying to take physically the body they're wearing with them, and it burns up because it can't handle the frequency.
Yeah. Is there moments when it's worth going back and look what's anchoring me in the past, or should I just cut it and aiming for higher?
Yeah, aim to get here. Too many people are too attached to this one, and we've been changing this one almost on a regular month. Every month to 3 months, we've been shifting this to keep one that's whole and taking everybody with us, and shifting to another one that's still stable. That's why every once in a while when you look up, the moon's in the wrong place and things of that nature, because we've shifted everybody to another Earth that's still stable, even though all the other issues going on. So yeah, things are getting, we're having to fight really hard just to keep a stable Earth, to keep everybody on until they can graduate. Because this, the pole shift was supposed to happen, all kinds of, stuff that would basically kill a lot of people. I'm at the point where if I could, I'd just let it go. Let go of the controls, let it happen. It'd get a lot of people killed and force them to graduate.
Thank you.
Would that be too forceful to do
advice.
that? And why not?
It wouldn't.
Would it be too hard?
Again, now I'm fighting the Garderners because they're saying no.
Okay.
Because I just hit the whole place with a shredder and get it over with. But they're saying no. So, okay. And I brought them into this, so now I have to work with them.
Yep. We have one question about the Garderners, Pattie. The question is are we graduating a few or many Garderners from this one? Are we actually developing Garderners into the galaxy here on Earth?
No.
Okay.
The Garderners are non-corporeal energy beings. The Guardian group are corporeal, but they work directly for the Garderners. So they're like their division. There are another whole group here, which is what the 3i Atlas and all that was about. This was quite a long time ago, 40, 50,000 years back. There was another whole kingdom from another galaxy that sent a whole shitload of troops into the Milky Way to try and annex it, to become a part of their kingdom. They died, and because the Mobius matrix was still running here, they got caught up in the auto-recycle matrix here. Now, bear in mind, these lower frequency souls were caught up and recycled a number of times in human bodies and have changed. That has altered their souls permanently, where to go back into the bodies that these things were bringing with them would be a regression frequency-wise, which is why it's not being allowed. That whole program is just not being allowed because those souls have advanced after running and being incarnated in human bodies a number of times. they have altered and they're now a higher frequency and capable of graduating to higher dimensional levels. So no, we're not allowing them to retrograde them into back, lower frequency bodies. We're just not allowing it.
Okay, real quick on the same line of that one, there's a question that we talk about these ships entering our galaxy that are harvesting souls. Is there still that process going to be going on? Is stealing souls in
they're
our
not
bodies?
being allowed to get those souls back. They're not being allowed to. That's
Okay.
why even the new ones that are coming in, they've got bodies in them, have no souls in them. They're empty. So they're coming in empty-handed. And unfortunately, the Draco and the Anunnaki that were here see those empty bodies as potential troops that they could put black goo in them and stuff and animate them to use as troops. And that's not being allowed either.
Okay. And along that
Pattie,
same line of, okay, go ahead, Pat. Go ahead, Crystal.
Sorry.
I'm just trying to catch up with the
Pattie,
chat.
I know Pattie addressed this questions already in the 3i Atlas chat with Carrie Cassidy, Jean-Charles Moyen, and Sebastian Martin. Okay, so we don't want to repeat too many of this because it's stopping us from going forward with other questions. Angel Song, not that Fraz didn't entertain your questions. It's already been answered, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let me, because Sebastian put out a whole thing about all the planets to visit and all that. Those are the former gods of all these religions. And that's why it was pinging, all these other planets, especially Saturn. And it's going to do the same thing. When it passes through where Mars would have been had not Marduk staged a false flag attack on the Pleiadians when they came in to give the star seed to Eve to make the elven race on Eden. Her daughter, Gaia, is the one who created humanity. That's why there's 3 gates tying them together. So, and even Gaia's name isn't really Gaia. That's a play on the actual, the name of the actual dean of the Milky Way campus, which is Gaia. So, I don't know. She won't even tell me what her real name is, but that's the name we give her, Gaia. She who created humanity. And we were her second class. The dinosaurs and the dinosaur type beings that were, 2-legged, 2-armed and all that, which graduated before, she put humans here. Some of those were allowed to stay behind and observe her new class. And those are the ones that interbred with the Dracos when they showed up and started a war with us. And then started modifying humanity covertly when they lost the war. Because back then we were still all triple pole DNA and had abilities that nobody could beat. So,
excellent. There's a lead-in question out of chat, which is karma still a factor, and are we subconsciously creating it?
That's from Christine.
Karma's still a factor. To you graduating, not really. No. I mean, yeah, there's kind of things you're going to have to cope with mentally at the next level when it all comes back and you see the truth of a lot of the things you did. You're going to have to cope with that because you're not going to be able to hide the truth up there. Just the way it is.
Just the way
but
it is.
So much of that and other issues is why humanity cannot graduate to 5D directly, because most of you folks just don't have the control. And up there, anything you can imagine can actually be manifested at 5D. And most people just don't have the controls to do that directly. That's why 4D for most people is mandatory.
Excellent. Black goo, and we're seeing in the news, in the network news and the alternative news, that there's more incidents of black goo showing up as it's being recorded live. Have you anything to do with this, or is there something else happening? Is it part of the clone?
They're running out of troops, so they're trying to create new ones. But bear in mind, like the one in Carnac, France, They had to steal one of the stones from the Isle of Light approach in England to one of the original Stonehenge and bring that, plant it beside the church, cut a hole through the basement and everything, so that they could bring bodies in, inject them with black goo. They got to have that sort of corrective energy to reanimate the bodies. But yeah, we've been killing off all their troops, so they're desperate.
Excellent. For our folks with the Antarctica group and the caverns and the stasis chambers down there, is there any new information coming out of Antarctica of the cleanup program?
No, there hasn't been, and I haven't really. There's been so many other things going on that I haven't really even gone and looked down there. Aside, because we trashed all the ships that had a possibility of being repaired so that they could leave. So after we did that, it was like, and we actually shut down the AI they had there. We actually took entire big sections of the coding for their AI so we could spike it and take it out at any time going forward. So as far as that's sort of a dead issue down there, there's a lot of stuff down there in the that big tower they got down there, which has more to do with tracking ships and things than a weapon per se. I think that's a refuge, and it really isn't.
Okay. So. Crystal, do you have a question? I'm going to throw it back at you.
Yeah, just to appease Angel's song, I did say that this question has been answered in the last 142nd meeting, all right? But anyway, just to appease you because you're here, Pattie, this question is being asked again. Why did 3i Atlas come, and are they still, although you said that they're not allowed.
They wanted to recover the souls from the soldiers who died and got caught up in the recycle matrix here. And we said no. And they're not listening.
Yeah.
Not going to be allowed, period.
CMA. She would like to know why you blew it up.
Because they were going to release a bunch of capital. They started to actually capital, that were going to come down and drop on Earth and actually grab souls. So I had to blow it up. We told them no. They were going to do it anyway, so I blew it up. No.
Well,
and the next one that's coming in has got some too, and if they try, I'll blow them up too.
But you didn't blow it up entirely into smithereens, right? You only blew 1/3 of it, and there's just 2/3 remaining.
All the chambers with all of the bodies that they could put souls in, and all the drop capsules that they were going to, they had started to release to fall on Earth and capture souls. Destroyed all that. So all that's left is the drive array, basically.
So the cryogenic chambers were being blown up. Yeah,
they were destroyed, as well as the capsules they were going to drop.
The regen tanks, so the SSP called it.
The ones holding the bodies, those are gone, and the capsules they were going to drop onto Earth to kill people and capture the souls for recovery, those are destroyed as well. So that's just not happening.
Yeah. So basically, they were having this plan to do soul harvesting from the star seeds, right? But they're not allowed to do that. Yeah.
It's not necessarily star seed. The whole star seed thing issue with those was the Draco and the Anunnaki thinking they could reprogram to take the light worker warriors off Earth and put them in those retrograde bodies. That was a whole nother plan by those who boarded the Atlas and started trying to infect the bodies with black goo so they'd be able to control them and all of that. There were several agendas going on there, none of which was going to be allowed. So
yeah, that would be violating the prime directive. That would be violating the universal law. So it's not allowed. So that answers your question now, Angel.
As far as the kids from the DOMs, those they don't get to stay on Earth. They're too damaged, especially given that they were at deep depths. The pressure down there is different. If you tried to bring one of the kids from down there up to surface level, their body would literally explode like the Bends, only worse, because of the pressure level they were existing in down there. They have to go up to the ships. You're not going to see them.
Pattie, I have a question.
Depth, like in New York, that they got out from under the island. Some of those we actually tried to treat them here on the surface, and that didn't go well either. So yeah, everybody gets beamed up to the ships now.
Pattie, I have a question. Okay, I read about the pharaohs of Egypt. Okay, they're special, aren't they? I mean, they will walk the planks, and then they will consume a lot of those iridium as well as white powder of gold. And then they consume a lot of that when they walk towards the edge of the plank, and they will just dissipate, and go into another dimension. I don't know if that's a teleportation or whatever.
5D level of Earth is here.
Yeah.
Back in the days of the Greeks and all of that, Mount Olympus was visible up at 5D level of Earth here. And that's a similar thing as the Egypt. Those were ETs with everything all the way up to 24 poles of DNA. And they could do a lot of things that people are trying to do now to do the same thing they did. No, it's not going to get you there. And a lot of people are taking in so much of like the monatomic gold and everything that they're shutting off their soul and their mind's ability to communicate it with their DNA at all, and that gets them dead. So there is a certain amount you can do which improves the communication link energetically. It's so fine a thing. I don't recommend it because unless you're already restored to 3D and able to communicate with your DNA directly, I don't recommend it because you can really get dead really easily.
Yeah, that's what I was going to continue with my question, because they're not ready. They hadn't done their homework. They hadn't done the evolutionary process to get to that level. So will that constitute to spontaneous combustion, and they will go somewhere else instead of their goal into the higher
frequency through your DNA? Bear in mind, it ignites it burns the sugars, which ignites the phosphorus, which is why they burn from the inside out.
Right. So what happens to the soul? They will just reincarnate back to do the rest of
the new body when they at 4D. Yeah.
Okay.
They'll have to be put into a brand new child body in a womb.
Scott has a few questions, Fraz, I think.
I'm trying to get. I'm trying not to break train of thought with Pattie, so it kind of rolls in a smooth fashion for the recording. Not trying to slight you. I'm just trying to figure out how to weave these questions into the session. There is a confusion, and this is general through the chat, of where we are as starseeds, where we are as humans on this planet, and is there going to be peace? What's the problem with the kids being tortured for adrenochrome? And it's all human questions. And you alluded to Donald Trump's family on one. Can you address these other concerns because of the fragmentation of where we're at trying to graduate and what happens when we get into the graduation step?
I mean, most of the others it's all dependent on your religious, state of mind and any soul contracts you inadvertently and unknowingly entered into with your religious preference. There are no religions that are true or actually good for humanity, period. I'm sorry, but that's the answer. And your religion is going to depend on where you go to another 3D level Earth, or possibly a 4D, depending. Even the Buddhist monks, that religion is actually from a different race of ETs. It was never intended for people to ascend using that methodology, although there are a number that have. It's not that they can't. It's just a lot more difficult because that religion was not designed for humanity. Sorry. That's the facts of it. Can you graduate that way to 4D? Yeah. Is it easy? No. Because you literally got to give up everything. And it's bad enough to graduate. You got to let go of everything here as it is and all your possessions and everything else, because that's holding on to here. And holding on to here is not going to get you graduated.
I've got two questions on the board. One of them has to do with solar flashes. Whether is this an upgrade? Is it a use for destruction? Like it got hit with 3i Atlas? That was a big boom that went over them. What about solar flashes? Is it to upgrade us?
We didn't get hit with much of it. Atlas was sending signals trying to locate the souls they lost, but the frequency of those souls, because of being in the recycle matrix so long, the signal's different. That's why they couldn't find anything. They weren't getting any back pings. As far as the flash, that other one that was part of the group, every time you use one of the 6 gates in the sun, if you use the gate here, 180 degrees out, when that gate closes, you get a backflash. And that's what they did deliberately to hit that other comet, which isn't a comet, it's a ship. Most all comets are ships inside, and they use that as shielding and fuel to come in and use the sun gate to leave. But because of where that was located, yeah, we did get a little bit of splash from that. But I have a shield around the Earth, and they've actually, some folks have actually taken pictures. It looks like a honeycomb shield around Earth that isn't going to let any real damage happen. Yeah, you'll get some pretty auroras and things like that, but that's all that's going to happen, because I'm not allowing that either. So it's pretty, but...
Well, Helma has a question for Pattie.
Sure.
This has been answered several times. Pattie works with the Galactic Alliance, not so much with the Galactic Federation, because as we said earlier, they don't have any experience on the many lifetimes on Earth Pattie has, so they don't understand us. So they're not for our best interests, for our physical body or soul. Yeah, they're only interested in the soul.
There's a lot of misinformation. A lot of misinformation about creation of humanity put out there by ETs. There's a lot of different stories, and it's pretty much all bullshit.
Yeah. Folks, if we don't read your questions, it's because Fraz and I know that the questions has been answered already. Just play back, okay? When the recordings get published on our YouTube channel, just play back and you get the answers. Okay, don't get upset because there are many questions of importance that needs to be answered. Like, for instance, Soul has asking Pattie to explain about the ring of Midas. Go on, Pattie.
Okay. It looks like a keyhole monument built into every planet in the solar system. Okay. That's tied to the ring of Midas. That's ownership and control of those planets. That's what's tied to the ring of Midas that I have. So that gives me ultimate authority over everything in the solar system, period, including the soul that is sitting in the sun out there. The original one, I kicked him out, and he got prosecuted, and they put a replacement in who's semi-competent. I'll leave it at that. The one that's in there now. The original soul that was running Saturn, we don't know what the bad guys did with that. And the replacement one, aka Satan, I captured him and turned him over to the Garderners for interrogation to find out where the original one went. And they put somebody temporary duty after I made all the changes to Saturn in place there.
Pattie, is
and when they
there
were,
an image that you can show
they
as an
almost moved it
example
right
of?
out of our dimensional level accidentally and all of that. So, yeah, I mean, I put this out years ago when I was still doing live feeds and everything before
Yeah.
they dropped the Cassini into Saturn's orbit, because they got so pissed off about me doing, live shows and everything. And they had no way to shut me out because I built the system at NASA. So they ended up having to crash Cassini into Saturn to shut down my shows.
Mm.
'Cause
Well,
there's no way.
Soul World Hair is so pleased. She sent a love heart to you, Pattie, for your answers. Thank you. So, folks, you just have to pay forward to Pattie, and Christine Frederick has put out Pattie's link for PayPal as well as Buy Me Coffee link on the chat, and you can get that from our website as well. Every time you hover your mouse over a speaker's name, if it's a live link, you can see, but I made sure it's a live link. So you can see the link, okay, to pay forward to Pattie. So Pattie can have the devices, the computers and the whatever to show you images like she used to show before. Awesome in the past. Thank you. Thank you, Pattie, for all the answers. And I think we need to wrap it up
There was
soon.
one about the council. The Council of 12, which is on the side of White and the Light, most of them still are. Bear in mind, back when, before Gaia built humanity and all the rest, she was out there gathering about the galaxy, helping these 12 races get their kids to ascend. So they owe her a debt, basically, which is why so many of them showed up to help when it came time for humanity to graduate, because they owe her. That's why they're helping, because as far as they're concerned, we are offspring of theirs, because all 12 of those races provided seed stock to Gaia to design and make humanity at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So that's why all of us are descendants, except for the ones who have been corrupted by the Draco and corrupted by the Anunnaki and interbred. The Dracos removed our third pole DNA to try and cripple us from our abilities. The Anunnaki fused the second and third chromosome together to drop us from 48 to 46 chromosomes so we could interbreed with their breeding program. Case in point, the Garden of Eden, that was 46 chromosome offspring. And it created 250,000 defects in the human genome when they did it. They're working on ways to undo this. Genetically, after they did the human genome program, all the elites, like the Anunnaki human hybrids, like the Rothschilds and all the rest of it, have been trying to use DNA technology to build their own 3D, 3-pole DNA. The last time I looked in on that program, they were like Rev 107, and they still weren't having any luck with it. But they were trying to build their own 3-pole DNA to gain all of humanity's abilities back for themselves. They're not having any luck with that. So that's not working either.
Yeah. So
this is a good
a lot of
segue.
these other groups of ETs that were dropped here on Earth, like the Atlantis group, was like 5 different races there. The Aryan group, which is your Nazis. All these things are like actually trying to hybridize with humanity to put it back for the bigger battle to get rid of the Dracos and all the rest of these negatives, where if all this hadn't happened, humanity would have been fine. But after they did so much damage way back at the first Earth, the first world, Gaia, after she restored 10,000 of each different, of the 12 groups here, actually took and backed them all up on an alternate Earth out in the M5 galaxy. And they've been out there zipping around the galaxies. So there are fully restored humans out there still working the battle and wiping. But that's what this whole thing Earth ended up an experimental lab of hybridizing with a bunch of other different species. When the Nazis tried to take over Earth, because they were the Aryan race and not actually humans, that's why the Slipsy Red Grays gave them the anti-gravity technology and told them to get the hell off Earth. Basically kicked them off the Earth. That's what shut down World War II.
So the
And they,
3i
some of them went to
Atlas,
alternate timelines and everything else.
3i Atlas comes in with a different plan. It's got nothing to do with the Nazis and the
Oh, that was
SSD, the secret
the
space
attempt at,
program.
no,
Yeah, because
no, that was
that's why they are fighting
to
each
annex
other
the
for
Milky
human
Way
souls.
entirely. Yeah, that was
For the
a attempt by
starseeds,
another galaxy outside the Milky Way trying to annex the Milky Way entirely and take over and hijack all of it.
Yes.
Not
So,
the group
Pattie,
entirely who got trapped here.
yeah,
So
you're amazing. I mean, we got clarity here. Folks, once we got the video recording published in a couple of weeks' time, you can play back over and over to understand what Pattie's saying, where we're coming from, and why we are being hunted and all that. So we are in reality, to sum it up, 48 chromosome, and that's a 12. Reduce is 3. 3 pole, 3 frequency direct.
three
tap of
pole is the
quantum.
original humans.
Yes. And 3 frequency direct tap of quantum universal energy field to manifest things. That's what you said.
And a lot of these groups in the Council of 12, which is the Council of 11, we found the Zeta Grays were actually working with the Anunnaki, and they actually created the hybrid program, which was the star they were following through the desert with the Israelites, and they were doing breeding programs during their 40 years in the desert. That was a whole nother isolated breeding program done by the Anunnaki. Yeah, and the Anunnaki hiring and basically conquering a group called, called the Christos group, VTs, and that's the Christian tie-in.
Not Crystal, not me, but
Yeah,
Christos, Kristo, Christos group, okay?
VTs, yeah, that's the whole Jesus thing and all of that. But again, God the Father in that whole religion was Enki, who's an Anunnaki, and Enki and Enlil, they were wiped out. They've got new clones of them for the 3D Earth and the 2,000 years of peace thing, but he has no real abilities anymore. I feel bad for all the religious folks who are going to be there because they have to do a complete full explanation of everything that happened in the past. Full disclosure for all those Christians that ended up over there with that 2,000-year soul contract. I would hate to be one of them to have to do all that explaining of how they were duped and dragged into that contract.
Right. So, Fraz, I can't see you if you're doing any raise hands, Henrik, or whatever.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to share screen now. Yeah.
Okay.
So
there's a
people
question
can
out
see.
there. Are there reptilians along with us?
Yeah.
Some of them interbred with humans and they have souls and they can graduate now. So that's yes. The leader of the Dracos is a hybrid now, and we have her under house arrest down in Houston. So
thank you, Pattie.
yes.
I just want to show Pattie's Buy Me Coffee link here, posted by Christine Fredericks, who's helping Pattie out here. And the PayPal is paypal.com/PayPalMe/Pattie Brassard, one word. Okay, folks, easy to remember, right? So you can see it on the screen now.
No, it doesn't show up, Crystal. It doesn't show up.
It doesn't show up. I'm sharing screen. You mean you can't see my share
It's just
screen?
black. It's just black.
Okay. Can you share screen, Henrik, please? Okay, scroll up the chat. You can see Christine Henrik. Christine Frederick's posting of Pattie's PayPal as well as Buy Me Coffee.
I'm looking.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Henrik.
Okay. Well, he's looking for that. We've just trying to wrap up some of the questions that we have into one big one. We've seen the graphene stuff being disseminated as in vaccines, in the air, in the animals, chemtrails. Is this being cleaned up? Is this going to be part of some other program? Pattie, can you elaborate?
A lot of the states now are actually put a moratorium out to prevent overflights of chemtrailing planes. Graphene oxide, after you've had the The jab, I'm not going to say what it was, the jab, aside from that terminology, the graphene oxide uptake is to give that shot building blocks to do what it needs to do, to basically hijack your body at the DNA level. That's why they're doing it. And now they're trying to actually inject it in animals and everything. So you're basically taking it in as your food source. We're trying to put a stop to that, of them giving the jab to cows and chickens and everything else. That's why so many chickens were used and destroyed in unique ways, which another issue I'm not even going to get into. But it's because they were genetically injected with that shit, and we don't want that getting into our food supply, period. So they had to be destroyed.
Did you stop that program, Pattie, you in the Garderners group, or is it still ongoing? Is it unstoppable?
The ones that were infected were destroyed publicly with no explanation. We actually have to shut down the EPA for that.
Thank you.
Because they were the ones running it. The bad guys in the EPA were the ones doing that crap. And they were threatening them to shut down farms and everything if they didn't allow them to come in and inject them. So that food went to waste.
Because you stopped them on time, there's no harm done to those who are consuming chickens?
We're having a hard time tracking everywhere they were doing that stuff. And some of the food that's out there in the market now isn't even real food. It was created in a lab. Cloned stuff is automatically got all the jab stuff in it, which is not good.
Or Helma's
we're fighting for them to force them to label it so that when you go to the store, you know what you're looking at. And that's the best we can do with that. Forcing them to label that was, lab created stuff.
Unfortunately, not many people take the trouble to read the fine lines.
The fine print on what they're buying. I know. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Hendrik, have you been able to pull up the link for Pattie?
Yeah, when I go to the link, I will come here. But the link is in the chat, so.
Yeah.
The link is in the chat, but the recording doesn't get in the video.
All right.
Unless we show it on the screen, Hendrik. Because the
He's
chat is for the benefit of only 20.
Sorry.
Now it's down to 26.
We'll do it in another way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not listed in my Google link. Because Google wouldn't let me put it there. Google wants me to use their Google Pay thing, not my PayPal. So they won't allow me to do my PayPal thing in Google.
It's very important we help Pattie out. Yeah, she needs help to help us. Yeah, thank you, Hendrik, for doing your best.
Google Pay. They take a percentage of everything that goes into a Google Pay account, which is why I won't use it.
Yeah.
Well, David Bowie's last blog entry before he died, like a week before he died, was Google is Illuminati.
Yep.
Sorry, who died? What are you talking about, Scott?
Which is why they kicked me out of. I used to do shows and everything on Google, and put them out there on YouTube and everything else. They shut down everything. So
I know.
Yeah, they don't like me at all. I put way too much truth out there. I show all the bullshit that they put out. So same thing with Facebook. The Facebook account I have now is my 6th one. And at one point, I got in an actual battle with them to the point where cops showed up at my door, and I had to run them off and threaten to have the marshals come and put them in jail because Facebook tried to come at me with legal bullshit. So, yeah.
Thank you,
It's
bro.
been interesting.
Okay, Hendrik's showing PayPal's link for Pattie. So, folks.
Well, that's, okay.
Just bear in mind that we need to help Pattie to help us, all of us, take care of here. So PayPal, Pattie, okay? Pay forward. And there's the other link, Pay Me Coffee, Buy Me Coffee, Pay Me Coffee, Buy Me Coffee.
For the people who are out of the United States, can't use the other ones. Yeah, that's the coffee.
I will put that up too.
Yes, please. Thanks, bro. You're brilliant.
Okay, let me bring this in so I can look at questions again.
Yeah. Fraz, is there any question? Any
Well, there's
other
a
question?
really good comment in here, and I'd like to read it. And it says,
no.
Pattie,
Do it.
thank you for being steadfast in your defense and empowerment of Earth and informing humanity of our own mission. Thank you, Pattie. And
Hey,
Because
hooray!
eventually, understand, bringing humanity back up to full strength at 4 and 5D, the whole thing is to help clean all the negatives out of the Milky Way in its entirety. And bear in mind, unfortunately, because of all the stuff super soldiers were doing and the corporate groups who are working with the Anunnaki and the Dracos and conquering worlds and everything out there, we have a lot of bad karma for humanity as a whole out there that we have to repair, because humanity helped them do a lot of bad stuff, conquered a lot of worlds and everything, and we have to, have to go out and clean that up. And this is only one level of creation of 3 that needs to be cleaned up. There's people up at level 3 doing things. We're down here at level 1, and we're supposed to meet and clean up level 2, where Christine's original soul is actually from, which is level 15 of level 2. Dimensional level 15 of level 2 is where her soul is originally from. And I work with a lot of folks doing battles down here with their advanced abilities to help clean up down here. But that's what all this is about. This isn't the only level we got to clean up once we're restored. That's why the groups have made deals with us to be able to recruit restored humans for the other battle after we get restored. That's deals I made. That was the deals I made to get replicator technology and everything for food replicators and such here at 4 and 5D was in exchange for them being able to, the Civil Legion being able to recruit restored humans for the bigger battle.
Wonderful. So, I must say,
the
Christine is so blessed to have you rescue her.
Unfortunately, Ford and all the other companies that Trump had making MedBeds, they were only making level 1 MedBeds. Nothing short of a level 4 would do me any good, in this body. But level 1s can correct things like cancer and whatnot. And yeah, they've been treating people on a needs basis. Kids get priority, obviously, but yeah, they're out there now. And I mean, I know there's 21,000 of them in the United States alone, and more overseas. Wow. So wouldn't do me any good, but the people with cancer,
how do we know?
Would help them.
Thank you, Lee. FESIG needs a coffee too. Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, Pattie's coffee link is being put out on chat by Jerry Henrik, I see. Would you be able to put that on the screen, share screen as well? FESIG doesn't have a coffee link, but we do have a donate link. So if you go to our website, you'll be able to see it. Thanks so much. Yeah, and
Crystal?
Also the description underneath the video posting, you see our donate link, and so is Pattie's. Okay, so we don't need to share screen here. You can see I will put it on the video description once it's posted.
Crystal, how long has this recording been on?
I think it's been on for a long time. Can we stop now? I think that's it. We will wrap it up.
I think we better, because we got to upload.
Yeah. So thank you so much for everything that you've done for humanity. We so appreciate you and love you, Pattie. And thank you so much, Christine, for helping Pattie out to get the news out and the intel and disclosure information. Yes. So thank you. So everyone who's present here,
it's not like the days of like when I had that long 9.5 hour chat. They don't let you upload stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, you used to do 5 hours non-stop. Wow, that's amazing. But
The
we
longest
can't
one
do
was
that.
9.5.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't really do that because what you call that? We can't get mirrored onto Odyssey after the second
Yeah.
hour. Yeah. Thank you, Fraz, for reminding me that we ought to wrap up and stop now. Thank you, Henrik, Fraz, and everyone, Scott, Jerry, Gary, in Malaysia, and everyone who's present here, Christine, Soul Wild Hair, Tricia, Scott, everyone. If I didn't mention your name, I'll mention it next time. No, it's too much.
I'll do
All
another one.
right.
I know I didn't get to all the questions that Christine took and wrote down, but next time. There's always a
Oh,
next time.
okay. Okay, safe chat, everyone. You get all the questions because it's being typed on chat. So do you know how to save chat? Christine, you know how to save chat? I'm sure you do. So hover your mouse over the 3 dots at the right at the bottom of the chat, okay? And then it will pop up
It's at the
save.
top of the
right?
chat. The top of the chat, not the
On
bottom.
top of the chat. Thank you, Scott, because mine's a different thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm the host. Yeah. On top of the chat. Has everyone done that now before I stop? Well, I can end the meeting now. I think we can stop now. There being no other questions. Now this meeting is being adjourned. The 143rd FESIG meeting is being adjourned to the 144th meeting on the 7th of January. Not the 1st, because that's New Year, but the 7th of January. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending and for participating. So good. Thank you.